Did you reheat it too long? You know, like when you're, you know,
leftovers.
Yeah, and if you keep doing the same thing, all of a sudden it's like not good anymore.
Hi, y'all. We're talking about starting over, and I'm Camille.
I didn't know we were starting.
We're on,
okay.
Girl. This is Gretchen.
Hey, I'm Gretchen. No, seriously. So Camille and I, we talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
We actually wrote a TV show called Starting Over. And really the premise, so if you hear us talking about that term, we're covering the
Yes.
premise of the show. And it all starts with the divorce rate in our nation is 50-50, right? For first-time marriages and even higher for second.
It's like 60% plus.
It's 70-30, yeah, something like that. Well, it was yesterday. I don't know.
It's
anyway, so starting over means how do you get out of something before you get into something else? How do you start over?
Yeah. Well, and starting over from self, right? I mean, I think people.
Okay, but you just hit it. Jesus was right here.
Yeah.
Because what happens is I think a lot of people, and I've been single almost 9 years, so I hear it all the time. They want someone, even though they're not going to label this, they want someone to come in and fill in the gaps and heal the scars and make it all better and now become that fairy tale love that I've always wanted.
Well, and it's critical, I do think, when a relationship breaks down and there's a parting of ways, people need to feel like they're still desirable. So, you know, you might be sexable, like you can still be hit on and you know that you can have sex. And a lot of people think that, okay, good, I'm normal again. You're not relationship ready. You might be sex ready, but you're not relationship ready. And I think that's a critical distinction. And most people I talk to that are starting over need to get that. They do get that. It's like, you know, I thought I was ready for a relationship. I was just ready to have something new.
Right.
So that, I think, when people finally get, okay, I'm still attractive, I still got it, you know, even though I am older, even though, you know, I feel like I'm, you know, roadkill or whatever, I still have someone that wants me. That's important for them, but they still need to figure out themselves what their baggage is, or they're taking that with them to the next relationship.
Right.
We get into pattern. We start patterning, and so we'll pick the same type or the same lesson, and the introspection has to begin of, what am I doing? What am I picking? What am I used to? What role am I really playing inside of that relationship? You know, am I the fixer? Am I, you know, am I looking for a damsel in distress to be her hero? You know, everybody has a kind of an identity that they've played in the past.
So how do you help people? Go, hang on a second, I don't need someone to come in and take the place of a pain that happened maybe before even a marriage.
Yeah.
Or how do I feel good about me and even being alone for a little bit before I invite somebody in to entertain me, right? Because I think a lot of people are like, I can't be alone. I can't deal with whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I want to all of a sudden, because you know, there's those feelings when you first are in a relationship, everything's fun.
Oh,
Heck,
yeah.
Going to Walmart's even fun.
Twitter-pated. You're all Twitter-pated.
But everything is fun and it's new and it's exciting.
Yeah. But you're high. Look, romance is a great waste of time. I'm going to say that. I know that sounds terrible, but it isn't reality. I mean, the first 120 days is romance, and you're high on love, and there's that newness. Everything's new. The first hold of hand, the first kiss, the first time you have sex. I mean, there's all these first times with that person, that new person. But it isn't reality until after 120 days, truthfully. So that's when people start becoming themselves. And people are in pain. You know, flat out, they're in pain, and they do things for pain relief. They have sex for pain relief. They date for pain relief. They keep themselves busy to not feel their heart. You know, people drink. They do drugs. You know, I've never met a drug addict or alcoholic that I didn't say, what is going on? What is that a solution to? You know, you're drinking over what? You're doing, you know, pills over what? It's a solution to your problem. So what's the problem? But typically these kind of relationships do not last. They won't last. They'll blow up on you.
Right. So that's where we get the statistic being so high with second-time marriages, because most of the time people jump into a relationship because they're looking to make it all better.
That's right.
Like, my first go-around was not good. I don't know how to be alone. I've been with somebody for 20 years.
And I'm a failure.
Yeah. So, or again, it goes back to, oh my gosh, this person actually is paying attention to me, and I just left a 20-year relationship.
I'm starving.
I
was starving.
Yeah.
I had to, but again, it's rebound. Those are called rebound relationships. And eventually you have to stop and face the mirror All those wrinkles and sags are going to be looking back at you. And you have to also face yourself and realize, do you value you? Because if you take on a relationship too quickly after a breakup, a loss, a death, a divorce, you tend to neglect your emotional well-being. So again, it's a mask, it's a cover, it's pain relief. You get remarried or in a new relationship so that you don't have to feel these feelings. What's going to happen when that person, when the relationship ends or when that person goes, you're going to be hitting the dirt. It's going to be difficult. So people, I think, need to introspect and kind of figure out who they really are.
Right.
I think people get a lot of wisdom, and I don't know anybody that doesn't go through a huge growth experience that doesn't grow. I mean, they're going to grow unless they really just start drinking or really trying to stay on hold. But people go through major losses. It is a growing time. I find that if you jump into a relationship too quickly, the growth stops. Okay. People will lose weight. They'll be healthier. They're taking on their life. They're working on their money. They get in a relationship. Oh, they're, maybe they're gaining weight again. Maybe they lose their money again. Maybe they're spending money they shouldn't. It's interesting how I watch people go in these cycles. But if they just stayed alone long enough, they might really discover, and I say discover, like you have to really discover who you really are. You can't be told who you really are. And that takes, self-care. You need to sit and cry and deal with loss and feel yourself and self-soothe, instead of getting a pill or a drug to stop the pain. Feel the pain. It's not going to kill you,
And with that pain, I mean, that doesn't always mean that you go out and find somebody so that your ex feels that pain. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many country and western songs that are written about that. But there's a lot of truth to it because you know that people, it's that revenge that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And really in the long run, how happy are you? I know and I observe people that I can tell have been married for a long time that that's just all they are. They don't talk. They're out in a restaurant or he's walking ahead of her. There's just nothing
There's
there.
a disconnect.
Disconnect.
Yeah. Well, people start, treating each other like their memory of them, if that makes sense. So why I think there's such a high in a new relationship right out of an old relationship is because they're getting noticed. He says, I have green eyes. He saw my green eyes. Because the history of being with someone that long term is you're not reinventing each other all the time. It's like Memorex. You're remembering the memory of who you think they are. Oh, I know how he's going to respond if I ask that. If I want to spend that money, I know exactly what he's going to say. You start thinking that you know each other. I know what she'll do. She's not going to want to do that. I can't ask for sex, so she's not going to give it to me. I mean, we start living like we really do have these things, like they're objects. They're the couch.
So how do you keep that interest in a relationship?
Well, when I see a couple, I'm looking for what is your chronic complaint about each other? What's your chronic fight? What's the repetitive kind of fight? Because that's where they're both living out, they're kind of taking it out on each other, whatever they got going on in here.
Yeah.
If there isn't any cheating, couples can have this restoration time. I call it soulmate second chance. But if there's not a lot of third-party issues, people can actually, get back into each other. And I have them kind of pull apart. I have a separation period, a mandatory separation period, because they think they know each other. So I separate for 6 weeks. They live apart. They don't have sex. They aren't having their routine. The routine is all blown up.
Right.
And we start dating again. We start having, real
dating
conversations.
Each other.
Yeah, each other, yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We're not having them.
Never got in therapy here,
no
friends.
third-party issues. No, and the money stays the same. Everything stays the same. We're just doing an experiment where we're pulling apart to see if we really would pick each other again.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I find is when it's the empty nest syndrome. When kids leave the house and they're gone to college, now husband and wife look at each other and it's like, well, would we do this again if we could? And so it's really a time to try that on. It's an experiment of being away and seeing if they really do want each other or something new.
Because how many times in marriages do you stay because you're raising children? And those children are your life, and they should be, but they're your life, and so your relationship takes a back seat. Now they go on and they go do their life, and you're like, what's your name? Right?
That's right.
And so are you saying you should take that time to all of a sudden treat it like it is a new relationship?
Yes. Well, you have to start over. Well, and there's got to be a little bit of a breakup, energy where you quit seeing each other like you think you know each other. Because a new person is going to validate them differently. And that always feels good, but that doesn't mean it's ever going to be love.
Right.
See, there's a lot of love with these kind of couples. You know, they just aren't expressing themselves to each other anymore.
Which isn't that why people cheat? Because they're actually getting validation from somebody else.
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah.
They want someone, yeah.
They want to be noticed. They want to have somebody pay attention.
Some guys that are nerdy that you would never think about that, they got asked. I mean, I know that sounds terrible, but it really is like an opportunity thing. They never thought they'd ever be asked. So, and maybe it's even some women. So it's more of, I don't want to, it's a bucket list thing, or it's, I don't want to die with this left inside of me. I want to be self-expressed sexually. We change over time. Our inhibitions change over time. We're not as insecure. We don't care if we're seen naked. I mean, a lot of people are going through a lot of different things. You renegotiate sex in a relationship all the time. So, and by the way, sex is a critical piece of a relationship. It isn't like you can quit having it and then be okay with each other. Something shifts inside of that marriage.
Yeah.
Your
so
roommates.
how do you keep a healthy relationship and a healthy idea about sex? Because in my experience, a lot of times it's a tool of negotiation.
Well, because one doesn't want it and one does, typically.
Well,
right?
Or one gets punished if one doesn't,
Yep, that's true.
Right?
We have to take the war zone out of the bedroom. Okay. So, and it's just kind of to me, it's a manifestation of what's really going on inside of that relationship.
Right.
So there's a lot.
And I think too, there's an idea sometimes that it's expected because you're married.
Oh, it's an obligation.
It's an obligation.
And I'm going to say, this is going to maybe rile some feathers. I think it is. Now, here's why I say that. But not like women you need to put out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you both said, you're the only person I'm going to do this with. Okay. Yeah. If I starve you out, I'm making you suffer, okay, for emotional reasons. I'm not saying there's sometimes physical reasons. Women go through a lot of different changes, and maybe she can't. It hurts, something's going on. But if it's the takeaway, if it's the war zone area, and it's how you punish each other, look, you're looking for problems. This is where a lot of problems start.
Right, because there's a lot of resentment, and there's just all kinds of stuff. And yet, on the same note, while a woman may be pulling away, what's the guy doing? In other words, if she's feeling like I'm just being used, I'm just the release so he can actually have a good day, there's a woman that goes, maybe go bowl, go do something. I don't know.
Well, look, there's scientific proof that men need to have sex or need to have a release, okay? And there's wet dreams if they don't have a release consciously. I guess that happens unconsciously. And I tell women, that this is where the negotiation piece of it is, or they have to understand the need of a man. And of course they're going to feel like an object because men need sex a lot more than women do. So, and it isn't always romantic. It isn't always, flowers and, crock pot working on the, whatever, foreplay. Women are for crock pots. Men are like,
I was like, we got dinner cooking too? This is awesome.
Well, I mean,
I've been ready for a while, but okay.
Cliche. But there has to be, there needs to be like an understanding of his needs, her needs, and both can have the needs met if they're just willing to talk about it. But yeah, so there's a lot, sex is a big, big subject.
I have a feeling, friends, we're going to need to come back and address this one. Yeah. But at this time, we want you to share, like, subscribe. We appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.